Hi, I'm Chris from Airwindows, and hey, you can do this. Because this is a plugin called Infinity, but guess what? You can also do this. That's by request. I've revisited this plugin because originally it had my damping control, which does this. You can hear how that does a thing. What the damping control in Infinity did actually was more accurately around here or so, and it did this. Get a little bit darker, and then gradually darken up a little bit. Except for now you can do this and make it stop. But I've also made a couple of more changes. For one, I'll show you what damping does when you turn it up all the way. It originally was just a small part of the reverb algorithm for very subtle effects, but I've dialed it up so that at about probably 0.125, it's what it was before. But now you can make it do more. Let's demonstrate. You can hear that getting darker as it goes. So damping is still all about controlling the reverberation space and making it gradually darken up as it goes. But it's not the same thing as having the feedback control in there because it's not doing anything with the overall loudness. And we can still have the damping all the way off, like before, so that if we have a lot of S's and sounds, we'll gradually replace it with and that's not going to go away until we either go after the feedback or we change the texture with damping. But wait, there's more. Notice how I have an all-pass control in here? Check this out. We can take the feedback all the way down, and doing that, we'll get a bit of a sense of what that sounds like as more of a reverby kind of thing. Now the deal is that the original thing went through the all-pass filters by default. But I added a little control because I thought it would be interesting to bring in another texture that was inherent in what Infinity was capable of doing before, but now I've made it direct control over it. Or rather, it was inherent in what Infinity was able to do before, but I didn't have a control for it. Here, check this out. With no all-pass, we have a lack of a blurring effect, so we still have the same infinite feedback thing going on. I'll make that click noise again. And before, what you would have got was this. this. I am inadvertently demonstrating the way that the overloading it works. Let's go to the camera over screen so that you can see it, because I forgot to do that. This has all been about, you can do this. This is a free plugin, but you might as well see what the knobs are. So we got our filter, and the filter is the same as it was before. Size is the same as it was before, except it gets a little more extreme. So you might want to pay attention to that. Formerly, this was about as high as you could go, but we can get a lot crazier than that now. So there you have it. Infinity2 is, much like Infinity before it, a audio unit and VST plugin. It should be good fun to play with. I'm hoping people will enjoy it. All this is supported by Patreon, as has been happening for a couple of years, 3 years. And the Patreon is going so well that at this point I have started up my Wednesday DIY live synth making stream. And I'm somewhat unprepared. I didn't expect that to get rolling quite as soon. But I have been making some interesting things. And we're basically getting that underway. Don't mind me, I'm just going to adjust Infinity a little bit more so we have something interesting happening in the background. People apparently like this texture. I'm not entirely sure why. Like, what's happened with this has been Infinity and Infinity2 following it are based on the old householder reverb algorithms. And it's a way of just being able to bring new stuff in to something that is already 100% feeding back without quite blowing up or going into crazy distortion. It kind of does a little bit, but not all that terribly much. And shortly after doing this, I ended up being able to figure out a feed-forward algorithm, and that became verbity, and that became galactic, which I thought sounded a lot better. But this still had its fans, and they wanted a feedback control so they could do this. And now you got it. And a control on the all-pass, and more range on the damping, and more range on the size control while we're at it. Also, if you're running at 44.1K, you get even larger size in this, because this is the old householder algorithm that is not doing undersampling at long rates. So it's basically a straight up texture, which will be somewhat more finely grained at higher sample rates like I'm currently running. That's all well and good. Like, try it and see if it works for you. That's the idea with these things. So yeah, I hope you enjoy it. I'm trying to figure out whether I want to fool with it a little bit more. Here, let's put it to the darkest possible setup and run with that. So yeah. Now, as far as other things going on, oh, and I should also mention while I'm doing this, one thing you can do with Infinity is make sounds that are stereo and mono. So that's one of the tricks you get with Infinity. And I didn't demonstrate that before, so I'm going back to do it again. Here, we'll turn the damping off. And let's turn the all-pass off. Silence it. And then let's make a noise that moves across the stereo spectrum and listen to what it does. So we'll start now. Yeah, you can have some fun with this. So, there you have it. I hope you enjoy Infinity2. If this is a sort of thing where you would be like, oh my god, I would go and buy this all over again, then by all means go and throw another $50 a year towards the Patreon. If you want. You don't have to. We're good. At this point, you're basically paying for people to eventually get electronic parts they can fool with. Because I've reached the point where I'm starting to turn extra money coming in into the DIY synth project, and we'll see where that goes. Don't mind me getting stopped for a moment. I have many things on my mind, and one of them is the porting all of this stuff to the new version of VST. And by that, I better explain that a little bit. I'm saying new version of VST, but I'm not talking about VST3. I'm still making VST2s, but they are not yet compiled for Apple Silicon or in new versions of Xcode. And I have managed to get the audio units compiled for Apple Silicon, and so will Infinity2 be. And the next stage, which I've had a bit of a delay with it, but I'm still going to be following up, is to go through and do all the Mac VSTs 2 ways as well. And that's going to be another recompiling literally hundreds of plugins, because when I update something in this way, I cover everything. It's not just new stuff coming forwards. It's not leaving old stuff unmaintained. Everything that I've done gets included with what I'm doing with them. As far as other things that I'm doing, this is probably, if you want to hear more about the plugin, well, you can hear more of the plugin. But I'm more or less done talking about that. As far as what I'm doing going forwards, one of the things I'm doing this coming week is getting a COVID shot. I could end up going out to places and meeting people, and that might be interesting. We'll do a little Airwindows con or something, right? But I'm also digging into my synthesizers. And I'm hoping to gear that up so that I'm performing with that stuff again more on YouTube's. I've been working on getting some stuff together, some of which you've heard in recent videos, like trying to make it so that I can do breakbeat and drum and bass style stuff. And I'm happy with how that's going along. It's just a lot of work. And let's see. So the VSTs, the wanting to get that stuff up and running again. It's tricky because one of the things going on there is this entire time I've been building things like those circular chord charts that became the Airwindows chord slide rule. I've got stuff like this. This is me working out a way where I could make a kind of gamified method of arranging things. So you could go to different styles of components of music. And this is more geared towards doing stuff in a tracker format or a DAW style format. But another thing I've been wanting to do is getting the DAW working so that I could do my mixes into that, possibly including Macadie, possibly including other things of that nature, and doing my live jamming as well. But that doesn't necessarily mean tracking stuff and then overdubbing over it. I'm interested in diving back into the format where I'm trying to live perform for an extended period of time and keep stuff happening over that time period. And honestly, it seems like that's the sort of thing that's interested me the most, so I probably need to go back to it. Things I learn with that should be possible to apply to other stuff going forwards. I've also been talking to some of the folks over at VCV Rack who've been having a bit of turbulence at the moment over some stuff. I think they can get past that and that there are better things ahead for that project. If we wind up seeing solid support for the new Apple processors out of there, that makes it more likely that I will jump behind that myself, and that can be the next port everything after doing the Mac VSTs for Apple Silicon. But that's several hundred plugins of porting down the line, so that's not happening this coming week. But I'm watching with great interest what happens over in VCV Rack land, with the intention of, if that is, if not a wholesome, then at least a effective platform to support. Because I don't care if they're super nice, as long as they're doing the right things and you can do third-party stuff that ties onto it. I mean, I'm working with Apple and supporting their projects, and Apple is a giant mega corporation dominating the world, and compared to that, anybody's open source thing is a lot more innocuous. So we decide what we support and work with. And we do that by bringing in stuff that might be and I'll catch up with you next week, where I may or may not have VST plugins, but I'm sure I'll have something. See some of you on Monday when I do my live stream for coding new stuff, and I'll see some of you on Wednesday when I do the live stream for DIY synth making and patch together more funny circuits out of CMOS chips and things like that, because my hope is to show people how to do that too. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.